Meanwhile, Rolling was still talking to John Sanguinis. But I was too busy befriending the detective and wasn't paying much attention to my boss. In addition, his voice had dropped so I couldn't hear him very clearly. Still, I caught Sanguinis retorting,
"What the hell are you talking about? Can't you at least try speaking in a language I can understand?"
Arms crossed, Rolling stared at the wannabe actor, but he didn't say a word. Precisely at that moment, Sanguinis's lawyer appeared, requesting the 34th precinct release her client immediately.
"I'm leaving. I'm totally sick of playing along with your little game. If you want to have a conversation with me, I recommend getting a warrant next time."
Snarling, Sanguinis stood. Detectives Fender and Lamont clenched their fists.
"We will,"
Lamont said through gritted teeth.
"See you soon."
"By the way,"
Sanguinis turned to Rolling,
"does it make you feel good about yourself when you judge people as if you're the supreme justice?"
"Of course I feel good about what I do."
Rolling declared.
"Are you implying there are better things to do in life? If so, I'm more than happy to hear that."
Then it was Sanguinis's turn to shut up. Grinning like a cat licking cream, Rolling added,
"Anyway, keep barking all you want. You won't last long anyway."
"I will file a formal complaint against all of you here for police brutality and a violation of human rights, and I'll sue you like hell, so be prepared."
Sanguinis spat before he turned on his heels and left, flashing a victorious smile. It was John Sanguinis's 1 minute of victory. Actually, it was his final moment of triumph, because later that day, he disappeared from the surface of the earth. As in literally. The police couldn't keep Sanguinis in custody, however. That didn't mean they gave up catching him for good. When he went back to his apartment in Brooklyn, a couple of detectives from the 34th precinct followed. Luckily, there was a grocery store in front of the building where Sanguinis lived, making it easy for the detectives to conduct surveillance on the target. Plus, both his unit and the entrance to the building were clearly visible from the parking lot. Indeed, it was an ideal building for a stakeout, for it had no back door. As it grew darker, the detectives saw the light flickering in Sanguinis's window on the 3rd floor. Behind a curtain, they could see the movement of a silhouette. At first, there was little activity in the apartment as they watched the silhouette sitting, standing, and coming in and out of their vision. A van with "Bobby's Move-In Diner" written on both sides stopped in front of the building, and a guy in a uniform carrying a styrofoam container went inside, came out, and then left. The light was still on at a few minutes past midnight, and for the first time, there was a major move behind the curtain. In front of the detective's eyes, the human-shaped silhouette of John Sanguinis started bouncing up and down. It turned and twisted while wiggling and jumping, and then it dropped to the floor. At first, they wondered if the target was practicing hip-hop, freestyle dance moves. But all of a sudden, the fast-paced movements stopped, while the detectives shook their heads in confusion, wondering if the target was trying to provoke them. They heard the dispatcher on the radio saying there was a noise complaint at the apartment they were watching. According to the dispatcher, neighbors on the 2nd floor heard a series of ear-splitting screams. When they entered the apartment, there was no sign of light. In the room facing the parking lot, the detectives discovered clothes and shoes scattered on the floor, which they positively identified as the garments John Sanguinis was wearing when they saw him last. Also, an empty bottle of ketchup and an empty styrofoam container were scattered on the floor. Strangely, both the bottle and container were completely clear of condiment or food particles, as if they were washed and clean. Just like the night of Ivan Flynn's disappearance, a candle was blazing. Considering Sanguinis couldn't get out of the building without being seen by the detectives, they had no choice but to come to the conclusion that he had disappeared from his apartment. But they couldn't figure out how. Even more confounding was why he'd used a giant candle in the well-lit room. John Sanguinis's disappearance is so mysterious it's practically a magic trick. Poof, just like that he was gone. We all thought it was impossible for somebody to pull off such a feat. But there you have it. In the meantime, I was struggling to deal with my own issue, mostly because of my eccentric boss. Tune in for the next installment to find out what happens. Thank you for watching. See you later.